Well, good afternoon and welcome to rainy Seattle. And this is Seattle's Eastside Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for all things related to living, working, and playing on the East Side. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. We're live on Facebook, and this is a very special live stream. This is our 100th podcast / live stream extraordinaire. So, buckle your seats. We have some fantastic, buckle your belts. Seatbelts. Buckle your seatbelts. We have some fantastic guests that are going to be joining us today. Please do comment, share, subscribe, click the bell, whatever it is, bell, thumbs up, and feel free to comment us. We've got somebody here to moderate any of the chats that you may have, any questions you may have for our panelists. We're going to get started right here. We are going to be welcoming both Tucker Maxwell, Guild Mortgage, Ephraim Fresha from Boon Boona Coffee, Doug Peterson for Get Priority Straight. So we got an action-packed podcast / video podcast, whatever the heck this thing is called. It's going to be fun. But before we visit our guests, let's hit our Real Talk segment for the day. So today's big question is, during the pandemic, there are a lot of individuals that bought second homes. These were homes that might have been a place to get out of the city, to relax because they were working from home, using the Zoom room in that new home. And it may start to become a financial anchor around your neck. So what do? Is now a good time? Let's kind of talk about how the luxury market has been defined in the past. And second homes are kind of a luxury, I guess, is one way. But according to the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, there was a tenfold increase of remote work during the pandemic, and it drove home prices of these pandemic homes. But I have to tell you, pandemic homes, that's not the right way to put it, second home or retreats. I can tell stories. I had some clients who lived in Mercer Island. They decided to sell their home in Mercer Island and move to Chelan permanently. They actually don't have a second home. They just have their primary residence in Lake Chelan. And I have to tell you that for quality of life, a lot of people have been able to increase their quality of life by doing that. However, I know a client of mine who also bought in Wenatchee and moved out there, and they had a home built for them. So they got tons for their home in Snoqualmie and built a custom home. Took some time. By the time they moved in, their company said, "Hey, we need you back in the office." So there's a bit of a opportunity here for moving these homes in a market. But I got to tell you, here's the good news is, according to also the Institute for Luxury, the last few years, the luxury market, the truth of the matter is there's a growing affluent demographic that are still looking for these places in order to go and relax, work, maybe just own that second home. So here's the bottom line. If you own a second home, now may be the time to sell that second home. Get ahead of the inflation and the market that we're in right now and protect your savings. Don't wait until it's too late. Happy to help. Here's the key is, here at the Eastside Real Estate Team, we have connections with agents all over the United States and all around the world. So if there's a home that you have that's a second home that's not located here in the East Side, we certainly can help you find somebody to get that home on the market, get it sold, so that you can make sure to protect your family's future. So that's the bottom line. That's our Real Talk segment. Thanks for watching. I guess right after this short break, we are going to welcome in Tucker Maxwell. We're going to have his mortgage moment. So come back after this very short commercial break.
Forum Social House in downtown Bellevue is reopened for Phase 2. Enjoy our chef-cultivated menu, 369 happy hour on Fridays from 4 to 7 p.m., and of course, all the gaming your heart desires. From the interactive Topgolf Swing Suite to cutting-edge miniature golf and assorted table games, Forum Social House has something for everyone. Located at 700 Bellevue Way Northeast on the 3rd floor of Lincoln Square North, across from the cinema.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with our friend Tucker Maxwell. Tucker is a longtime broker with Guild Mortgage, and we're going to talk today about the current rates, loan limits, etc. And the topic is buying in a slower market, But I gotta say, it doesn't feel slow again. And this is a lot of what the boots on the ground are telling us. Welcome back to the show, Tucker.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dan.
All right, so let's talk about buyers' reluctance, waiting, pushing things off. Why should they not wait to purchase?
Well, you nailed it. It's heating up quickly. So if we remember back to the housing frenzy we saw in 2021, during the pandemic, multiple offers, it's kind of seems like those days might be coming back. So what we're telling people is, home loan applications are up, which means buyer demand is increasing. And so right now, where we're still seeing, the chance of a price reduction on a home, seller credits, things like that, those days might be limited.
Yeah, I think I'm what's the word? I'm in a wait and see mode right now to claim that it's super busy, but I certainly can say that there has been some pent up energy that has hit the market. So when do you see the spring housing market really picking up?
Yeah. So, looking in the Seattle area specifically, I don't think it's started yet for sure. I think we've got the New Year's resolution market started. People have set out to buy homes this year as a goal. Those people have hit the markets, but the listing activity, and best, Dan, it really hasn't. It hasn't showed up yet. So we still have a lot of more buyers looking to buy, but not as many listings coming available. And so, with the weather still being not great here, I think February the start of it may come, but April and March and May, those will probably be the years that it actually shows up.
Yeah, I think it's important to take a look at the market numbers from last year, and I don't have them right here in front of me. I could probably get them in pretty quick order, but we had such a low number of inventory compared to where we stand now, that it was inevitable that January, February, March, and April were going to be as hot as they were, because there were still people who had lower interest rates than we have right now, right?
Yeah.
However, here's the thing, is we have not seen a rush of people get on the market in the first 2 weeks. So that people are kind of consumer confidence is low. So now we have a bunch of inventory, and now it's starting to dwindle again. And I predict that probably we'll see higher numbers for the next 4 months of inventory year over year over the next 4 months, because it was so low. But probably by the time we get to, say, May or June, it probably won't be much higher. It'll probably be about the same numbers. That's my prediction.
Sure.
We'll see what happens. This is on video, so we'll see what happens.
Check back.
Yeah, check back. How long will price reductions and seller credits be available, you think?
We're already starting to see them dwindle. Just in the last week, we've seen purchase contracts come in, and they're coming in right around list price again. And so I think it's already started. Rates have come back to the mid sixes or even high fives. And so that has increased demand. And so now, where, a month ago we didn't see multiple offer situations, the chance of those happening could occur again based on the low inventory. So I would say, I don't have an exact time frame on it, but if that's something you want to take advantage, I would jump on it right away.
Yeah, I think that it's a supply and demand and a concessions situation. If my client gets an offer in the first week, the chances of getting concessions are slim.
Right.
It does depend on the motivation of the seller, though. I will say that much. Interest rates, are they moving up or down?
So far this year, they've moved down. So even with the Fed, news, inflation looks to be under control, or at least moving in the right direction. Maybe not under control. That might be incorrect statement there, but moving in the right direction. So far this year, we've seen rates improve just about every day. A couple of blimps here and there, but for the most part, we've had 18 straight days of rates going down.
8 straight days. Wow. So I heard you say high fives. They're not there, are they?
They're there. We've seen that, especially you mentioned the luxury market, Dan. Homes here on the Eastside, specifically higher home prices, we're seeing the jumbo investors still interested in the market, and they're charging in the mid to high fives.
So that's good news. So if you're looking to buy a home that's in that upper tier, you've got a good price of money right now and probably some extra inventory for at least the next 6 months, I would think. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Really good news.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So what about the Fed with inflation? I can't remember. Did the last time did they only do a half a point?
Correct.
And that really didn't affect interest rates at all. And it looks like while inflation is still there, it's less than it was a couple quarters ago. So what are they going to do? Are they going to continue this? They feel like they've slowed it adequately?
Yeah, time will tell. We haven't got any real reports as to what their strategy will be now in 2023. We knew early in 2022 that they were planning on raising rates at all 7 of their meetings throughout the year, and that they were going to range from a half a point to 3/4 of a point, and they did just that. And when they announce things like that, when Chairman Powell talks or any of those folks on the Fed go out and make remarks, our pricing people build that in. And so when the Fed increases rates based on what our assumption will be, there's little impact to the interest rates because we've priced it in. We just don't want to get caught without, making an adjustment. So as long as inflation continues to trend in the right direction, the Fed can keep their hands off and allow just the market to kind of set it. And then we'll look at, stocks versus the bonds and let the MBS market price itself based on consumer demand for those investments.
Excellent. Okay.
Yep.
Well, so bottom line, honestly, this is like like a broken record, but bottom line, what are you telling buyers right now?
Get in before it heats back up, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you have less than, I would say, 20% down. I would start now because as the market heats up again, we're going to get back to where sellers have the upper hand again, and they're going to start evaluating sellers and play them side by side. And so larger down payments are probably going to win more offers. So first-time home buyers, now's your opportunity. I would, make that jump from renting to buying now while you have an opportunity.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I appreciate it. I'm actually going to have you hang on for this next segment as we have Ephraim from Boone. He's a colleague of yours, so I'll bring you in on that interview. But we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk. Commercial.
It's about time. Do you find you never have enough time for what matters most to you? Our comprehensive It's About Time virtual productivity program teaches you the secrets of long-term, sustainable, and life-changing productivity. We provide monthly webinars, implementation challenges, resources, community, and accountability. You'll learn tips, techniques, and strategies to help you more effectively and efficiently manage your email, tasks, time, workspace, priorities, projects, and resources. You'll implement organized systems and productive habits that work. You'll finally get better results at work, experience less stress, have more time to dote on your clients, time to spend with your family and friends, take better care of yourself, pursue hobbies, and get more out of life. Do you crave more time for what matters most? Are you ready to take control? Isn't it about time? Well, to start having more time for what matters most to you, call us at 206-579-5743 or visit our website for more information at www.itssimplyplaced.com. Again, that's 206-579-5743 or visit our website, www.itssimplyplaced.com. Join today because really, it's about time. Your time.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am Dan Edwards, and you are listening / watching, the Seattle Eastside Real Estate Team podcast. And we are here with Ephraim Fresha from Boone Coffee. Ephraim, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure to be here. And of course, great to see you, Tucker.
Am I pronouncing your last name right? I hate when people don't get my name right. Is that right?
Close enough, man. Fisaha.
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 Not even close. Fisaha. Okay. All right. Ephraim Fisaha. You have to pause before you say that last name. Okay. Well, cool. Thank you so much. So it looks like first generation. I do not know what Eritrean American is. Where is that from?
Eritrea is a country in East Africa. It borders Ethiopia. it's a country. I mean, it's independent as of 1991, so it's relatively young in the kind of as a identified spot on the world map.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I just learned a new country I didn't even know existed. That's
Uh,
awesome. So you guys moved here, West Seattle, in 1988. As an opportunity, your father received to work for Boeing as a mechanical engineer. You attended grade school in West Seattle, Washington State University. That's okay. We got a lot of UW folks here, but that's all right.
Greatest university.
You're a candidate for Masters in Business at Seattle U. That's awesome. That's a great school. My wife went to Seattle U. Before he established Boon Boona Coffee, Ephraim worked for 13 years in the corporate finance for local companies such as Holland America, Nordstrom's, and Amazon. And in 2011, Ephraim returned from a 3-month stay in his family's native country of Eritrea, where he became inspired by the cafe culture that existed in the capital, Asmara. I probably butchered that too, and returned to Seattle.
You nailed that one.
Oh, very good. With a desired adventure in the coffee. So, I mean, it's pretty excellent, because if I know my history right, is coffee kind of originated in that part of the world, right? Ethiopia and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's great. The word coffee itself is derived from a village in Ethiopia called Kaffa. And Kaffa, Ethiopia, is the birthplace of Arabica coffee, which is primarily the coffee that we drink. Coffee all started out of Ethiopia.
There you go. So now you've taken your passion and your business acumen to start this business. Where did that come from?
I think it was, one was having that kind of experience in the finance and just kind of the business space, and really enjoying the good challenge that came out of it. Just kind of evaluating our next move, and why decisions are being made for the sake of the business, and where is it going. And so I just enjoyed a good math challenge. I was terrible in math in grade school, but somehow when it came to my career, or when it came to evaluating business, I just really enjoyed it. And then really the passion for coffee really was that trip to Eritrea. And the 3 months that I spent there, it wasn't intended to be a trip for coffee, but I came back with a passion for it. And I mean, I live in Seattle, and so it only makes sense to have, some kind of attachment to coffee being here. But, it was just something that I just got really passionate about. And I wanted to bring the two together. I had some ideas about how I wanted to go about it. And I was pretty stubborn about how I wanted to go on that path. And it took a while, but, kind of found our way.
That's awesome. And Tucker, you're welcome to jump in with any questions you have as we're going along. So tell us a little bit about coffee.
Well, I mean, there's so much to say about coffee. I mean, obviously there's the history of it, of course, where it stems from and how it traveled. I mean, most people don't know that, coffee, yes, started in Ethiopia, but then it moved across into Yemen into Turkey into Europe. Europeans then took it into Indonesia, Central and South America. And that was like in the 1500s, 1600s. So, this journey of coffee, this beverage that we all enjoy, or most of us enjoy, it has its histories in Africa, and just wanting to share that the roots in that story. And even our name, Boon Boona Coffee. Boon is how we say coffee in Eritrea, but then even in parts of Kenya and South Sudan, so other parts of East Africa. But then Boona is primarily in Ethiopia. But Boon Boona Coffee is really just coffee. And so we're just nerds for coffie. There's so much associated to it. It's definitely this beverage, both has historical importance. Of course, it's the second most traded commodity in the world after gold. It's this product that, one, we consume as a community, but then also, to get our caffeine fix. And so it holds this place. But, when we get to take time and spend a little bit more as, where it stems from, what it comes, what's its story, when you're having that cup of coffee, it's no different than, something else that you enjoy. If you enjoy a good meal, you're interested about where that fish came from, or where, what part of the cow that came from, or what kind of vegetables, which farm that came from. So that level of interest, that's just something people can dive into. given the opportunity, I think, from roasters and cafes and baristas and such along the chain to tell that story.
Nice.
Dan, do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
Ephraim, so as a coffee, like I consider you, an expert at coffee. How do you enjoy your cup of coffee, or what's your favorite way of serving your coffee?
Man, I'd have to say that my favorite way is it's a very traditional approach to coffee. So kind of backstory, but coffee first started as a seed that was just roasted up, ground up, and just chewed on as a bean. But then the water started to get added to it. In East Africa, Ethiopia and Eritrea in particular, there's this process called we call it the coffee ceremony, but really it's just coffee consumption. But we brew our coffee in a clay pot called a jebena. And so you roast your coffee, you grind it, you brew it in this clay pot, and it's the best cup of coffee, I believe. That's what I grew up on. That's what inspired me more than the caramel macchiato frappuccino. It was that got me, and that's how I really love having my coffee. So if I'm having coffee at home, I'll take the time to roast my coffee, grind it myself, and then brew it in that clay pot, which takes, as you would imagine, probably about an hour to do. But it's the best experience. It's the best for me, hands down.
That's awesome.
Love that.
So do you feel as you're building this business, you have how many shops again?
We've got 2 and a third opening up here in about 2-3 weeks or so.
2 and a third. So you'll have 3. How do you feel you're making an impact on your local community?
I think that there's so many ways. One where I'd say, we're benefiting most off of our community just by the support that we gain, the support that we get to stay open, especially during, our first year, but then the challenges of the pandemic and such. So we've been very fortunate, but we realize we have a responsibility and an opportunity as well to give back. And so, it's collaborating with nonprofits, collaborating with those that are doing great things in our community. So United Way King County, or Feast Seattle, or Vision House. These are organizations doing great work. And so whether it's, highlighting the work that they're doing through events at our cafe, or sponsoring or supporting them, or even really, giving back financially, even as a small business, I think that you can make small impacts, even if it's not a great sizable financial donation. We have their names written on our bags, and we sell them all over the place. And so we hope that even that gains some publicity and gets awareness out there as to what they're doing. So there's that. Inside of our cafes also, we open our doors to a lot of other small businesses, especially food and beverage, to showcase their food, to have them do pop-ups inside there. But both outside and inside of the space, it's important to us to be very active in our communities, because we know we wouldn't be here without the support that we've received and that we continue to receive. And so it's just our responsibility.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's truly making an impact on our local community. I've had the opportunity to go to Boon Boona quite a bit, and it's very rare that there's an empty seat in any of those shops. So definitely the community is taking a liking to it. Ephraim, are you doing anything to impact the global world, or anything you're doing in Africa to kind of give back there as well, from like kind of this inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, that was the genesis of it also, was the fact that, having taken a trip to Eritrea, leaving there, I thought about, how do I create economy? How do I bridge between Africa and, North America? And I thought that, coffee would be a great opportunity to do so. And so there are, the individual farmers and the producers that we work with, and the co-ops and such. But then also there's, things that we do kind of above and beyond, where we try finding these opportunities to, whether it's helping reestablish facilities for producing coffee, whether it's helping them rebuild or establish washing facilities for their coffees, or just simply in the general community and providing premiums on our coffees. So yes, of course, a lot of our coffees are fair trade, organic, but there are so many different ways that one can go about that. What we look for are just those creative ways. A lot of our supply chain is based there. And so a lot of the dollars, a lot of the impact of that commerce, we try leaving a lot of that there, and less hands, kind of with the large multinational kind of movers in coffee. And so there's a lot of intentionality, a lot of small producers that we work with to be able to make this all happen.
Awesome. So if I go into your shop, what do you recommend I try? Do you got that clay pot stuff there?
We do have the clay pot stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't, the ceremony is something that we started doing on Saturdays and Sundays when we first opened. We stopped it during the pandemic. We're getting ready to turn it back on, but it says there's a space inside of our Renton Cafe where the coffee ceremony will happen, and it's definitely something that I enjoy the most. But we're probably I'd probably say about a month out from turning it back on. We're just getting it set up and ready to go. So we're excited by that. But we're also a traditional cafe in the sense that you can get your espresso, you can get your latte, house-made syrups, seasonal drinks. There's a whole breadth of delicious beverages there.
Awesome. And the stores are Renton and
yeah. So downtown Renton is our roastery and cafe, and then our second cafe was opened on is about a year and a half old. Is on 12th and James in Seattle, and then right across from Seattle University. And then our third one is opening up here in a few weeks, as I mentioned, inside the UW bookstore on University Avenue. So, something a little bit further north. So we're kind of hitting all three parts of a little trip around along I-5 corridor there.
And so I hear there's a story about Khalid's.
Oh, Khalid's. Yeah. So Khalid's is kind of the patron saint or the iconic kind of head of coffee. And so Khalid's is attributed with finding coffee. And so this is about 1,000 years ago in Ethiopia. Khalid's took his goats up into the mountains of Ethiopia. And his goats are eating, enjoying the day. And he falls asleep, takes a nap, wakes up to hear them make a whole bunch of noise. And he's worried. So he goes, checks on his goats. And his goats are eating these little red cherries. So he's a little concerned. So he takes a branch of it back to the village and he shows the elders. He says, hey, the goats were eating this. I'm not too sure what it is, but they're acting all wild now. The elders look at it and say, we're not familiar with this. And they throw it into the fire. It starts to cook and they start smelling the aroma, the sweet aroma, which was coffee. They pull it out. They start to chew on it. And that's said to be the start of coffee consumption about 1,000 years ago in Ethiopia, and it's attributed to Khalid's. Khalid's has become, kind of a name of its own now. And so you'll find cafes, roasteries, importers use the name Khalid's, or even sleeping goats, dancing goats, all these different things attributed to this story. And there's different variations as legends go, but
So Khalid's is like the Starbucks of the world, basically, of all coffee.
Yes.
That is the OG, right?
That is the OG. That is the OG. Yeah. About 900 years before Starbucks.
Yeah, that's so good. What a great story. I love small business owners like yourself that have a passion for what it is they do. I just want to encourage everybody, when you get a chance, go check them out. I know I will. I love coffee. So next time I'm in Renton, I'm going to do that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate your time today.
No, I truly appreciate it. Congratulations on reaching 100. That's a major milestone. That's dedication, that's persistence, and that's great. And Tucker, always grateful to see you and appreciate all the support. Tucker is a day one Boom Boona supporter. So
him and his wife, like his coffee too. That's good.
Yeah. Walking distance to my house. So, hey, Ephraim, before we let you go, any Dan, you can appreciate this. Any sneak previews on some barrel aged beans or anything for those guys that also enjoy whiskey?
Oh man, let me tell you, we just released that a week ago, and we did it different. We did it so different now. It's out. Don't worry. It's here for a while, but we use honey bourbon barrel aged, like they're honey bourbon barrels that we use this time. And the coffee that we put into there is this really delicious, Burundi's coffee. I mean, even the coffee itself has like a great story. It's an all woman owned and operated farm in Burundi. Like it's all out and it's delicious. Yeah, but it was honey bourbon. Last year we did bourbon. Let's see, what did we do the year before? I think it was a whiskey the year before that, we're thinking about gin soon. But basically, what we do is we put our green coffee into these barrels and roast it, and it's just delicious. So,
Oh, you roast it in the barrel?
no. So what we do is you put the green coffee, the raw product, inside the barrel.
Yeah.
And you let it sit in there for about a period of a week and a half or so. And you rotate it every day to agitate it and to soak up. But basically, it starts to absorb the alcohol off of the barrel. And then you roast that. And when you roast it, it's just a phenomenal coffee. Yeah.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's great. Hey, thanks for bringing that one up, Tucker.
Yeah. Good call. Thank you for the reminder, Tucker.
I was like, wait, does it come with whiskey? No. Okay. Yeah. Just kidding.
we have partnered with some good local brands, Ula and Two Bars and stuff locally.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us today. Up next, after the short commercial break, we're going to welcome our good friend, Doug Peterson with Get Priorities Straight. Come back after the short break.
Do your walls have the doldrums? Why not fix that with some beautiful original artwork? Give your friends and family something to talk about, ponder, and enjoy. Lavish some beauty on them and yourself. You deserve it. Pamela Beer has helped countless clients find the inspirational piece to evoke just the right memory or feeling to their space. Art consultant Kathy says,
Pam's artwork is uplifting, colorful, and highly imaginative, always providing enjoyment and hope to patients and staff in our many hospitals and clinics. Her sense of joy and her commitment to her sense of color and design just add extra enjoyment to everything she does. Thank you, Pam, for all the healing that your artwork gives to the world.
To learn more, follow or message Pamela on Instagram at Pamela_K_beer or Facebook at Pamela K. Beer Art.
Well, joining us from the Grand Tetons is our good friend, Doug Peterson. I am right. That is the Grand Tetons. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I don't know where. Real pretty picture.
I thought
I threw you under the bus. Sorry.
Very good. Well, hey, I'm up in a hot air balloon above Trossachs right now, and I know you guys think it's raining outside, but it's not. Hey, it's good to have an old friend back. By old, I mean you're old, but I also mean a seasoned veteran of this podcast. Doug, let me just go over your accolades. So Doug founded Get Priorities Straight in 2018 to help business owners and high income earners master their personal and business cash flow so they can reduce that stress, eliminate waste, and focus on what they do best. Before starting GPS, he coached and mentored business owners and executives for over 18 years to improve business results and find more satisfaction in life. I can't get no. While engaged in this arena, Doug discovered an undeserved need: personal and business cash flow mastery. You need to be clear on what your priorities are, and then you can proactively align your money with what's important before you spend it. This requires a behavior change to think and act differently. It's not taught, and it is key to personal and business success. So, Doug, thanks for coming back. Our topic today is money stress is optional. So you do not need to be stressed. So are you talking about money stress for personal finances or business?
Yes. I mean, they're so connected, especially for small business owners under 5 million, that your personal finances, if you're an investor working with you, that makes a huge difference, even if you own another company. And often people commingle funds. They don't realize what a mess they're making. They don't realize that they could be jeopardizing their LLC protection if they own rentals. It's just something that people just keep records and kind of think we'll do taxes and really don't have a good system to understand where their money's going and keeping it very separate.
So what would you say is the most common source of stress?
Not knowing. I mean, the fear of the unknown, when we have something we don't know how to deal with, confidence is a direct result of predictability. And if we can't understand, well, based on how much I have, based on this economy, how long can I last? What have I already committed to? Before I make a financial decision, just looking at my checkbook balance, then find myself short for payroll or sweating tax payments. It just doesn't work. So awareness is the key. Knowing where you stand, even if it's bad news. I've had people say, I didn't want to look at it, but I feel so much better. I know how big it is.
Yeah. Well, how do you reduce stress when working with partners or significant others?
Yeah, and the big problem there is we've got different styles. Somebody may be really good at looking at books and spreadsheets and want to look at data. The other person is not. That's just not how they're wired. So you need to come up with a language that works with both, that gives transparency so you can really understand where you are. And the transparency is, hey, here's what we've planned for this month. Here's exactly where we are real time. It changes the dynamic from an emotional, we can't afford it or you're spending too much, to what do we take it out of? And becomes a much healthier and easier transaction. I've had both partners and couples say, we never talked about money before because it was just too stressful to bring up. And now we're talking about it easily and often.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's like a boogeyman because you don't look for it, right? Like what's under the bed? What is that noise? What's downstairs, right? And it's because if you don't inspect and understand, it's unknown, and unknown leads to fear, right? Like you said at the beginning. So one of the biggest challenges in my industry as a real estate agent is sometimes, not always, but sometimes people cannot predict their income. What do you say then?
I get people saying, I can't predict my income, therefore I can't plan and build a spending plan because I don't know what I'm going to make. But you do know what you're going to spend. Your car is kind of cost you an average of $150 a month over the next 3 to 5 years. A good used car just costs that. And often people don't set aside money for infrequent expenses. So I help people figure out what their infrequent expenses, both their business and their personal, and their regular monthlies, and their quality of life or perks, knowing that those things could go first if things got tight. So they really have a clear number on average that if they were to allocate money to all these particular categories, that's what all they would need to live on. It would smooth out the bumps. So it's critical, I feel. And of course, I'm selling the Kool-Aid, so I really believe in this stuff.
Sure.
To know, what it costs you each month to make decisions. In fact, my wife, when we started this years ago, 2014, she said, I thought I was going to lose control. Now I have more control than I ever thought I would have.
That's awesome. Yeah. I would say for me, it's a monthly habit. And then I also use some different tools than you use that basically it's in your face. And so you can't ignore it. And I think, having I believe I've created a system to have a predictable amount of income because I have certain systems there, but it's just a system. So if you can't predict your income, you can know how much you paid in taxes last year. And like you said, you know how much you can spend. So get on the stick and start with what you're spending, what you have to, I had a long conversation with someone about needs versus wants. That might've been one of my children. And, when it comes down to, there's a lot of things that we buy now that we really, really don't need. I mean, deep down inside. So when you are tracking it, it makes it harder to buy those wants because you think to yourself, do I need to write this down because it's a want, not a need? So, all right. So let's take some practical strides here. Is more money spent using cash or credit?
One of the reasons credit cards came out is, besides making a whole another industry make a lot of money, is that people spent 23% more when they put it on a card.
Wow.
McDonald's decided to, supersize, and other companies supersize things because when people used a card, they said, hey, Dan, why don't I get you a burger or some fries or something? You'd think those small purchases wouldn't be worth it, but they are. So, and again, it's out of sight, out of mind. People really don't know how much they're spending until they get the bill. And when they pay the bill, if they pay the actual amount due at the time they say it's due, you're paying for stuff you bought 27 to 57 days ago. You're not paying for what you just bought yesterday. So you've already racked up bills against next month's income. And people just don't realize that. So in my system, we make sure we have the money before we spend it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear that Doug does not advocate not using cards. He advocates having the money before you use the card. Am I right in that?
Absolutely. I've got 1.2 million airline miles just using my own personal cash flow.
Yep.
Leverage it and play the game.
On a kind of a personal note, I got one of those Alaska Airline Miles card last year. Finally, it had been a while before I got it. They gave me a limit of $2,500. And I'm like, okay, I make more than that. Come on. Right. But I actually love it because I think about it as like, well, okay, maybe I don't need to buy these things here. And it actually kind of constricts it, but at the same time, I get the points. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. The only tip on that is that, if you spend $2,000, your utilization rate's 80%, which is going to drive your credit score down 20 to 25%.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you pay your bill right before the statement close date, and your utilization will be zero.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great tip. So just to reinstate, in order to keep your credit score high, you don't want to be over 30% on that before due date.
Yeah, as soon as they report the statement balance, that's when the credit agencies decide how much utilization you have and how much they're going to affect your credit score by using their algorithm.
And they state the balance on the day of the statement.
The close date of the statement, not the due date, but the close date.
That's actually good to know because I can actually look at that and make sure it's paid off on that date. Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Okay, so what causes people to stay in the dark with their business and or personal finances?
Primarily two pieces. One is denial, but I find more often is they just don't know. They've tried it. It's been a bunch of work. They sit down, they figure it all out, and 2 months later, they go, I made a budget, which is really just a projection, and we didn't hit it. This just doesn't work, and it's too much work. So what they really need, in my view, is a system that is very time efficient and effective in telling you real time where you are. And then it's easy to figure out. Although there is a cycle of change that people go through. They start out with informed optimism. I'm going to get all this done. Then they move to uninformed optimism, then informed pessimism. Okay, this might be a little bit of work. Then they go in the valley of despair. Whoa, we're spending a lot more than we thought we were. Then we move to informed optimism and then success. I help them get through that valley of despair as quickly as possible.
That is a great use of that principle because I think that's a principle in All New Habits. Is that from Atomic Habits?
That's from 12-week year.
12-week year. Yes. I love that. I love how you're using that in that because it is a part of every new change in habit is you run into this informed and uninformed optimism, pessimism, valley of despair, where you're just like, well, that just didn't work. I shouldn't do this at all. And that's where a lot of people quit.
And I go through all that with all new clients before we get into this because I want them to think this is a lifelong habit. This isn't just an expensive class.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're going to do it, let's save some money.
All right. So are people in resistance when looking at finances?
We have got so much emotional baggage around money. It's amazing. We fear a loss of control or being controlled. We fear scrutiny and judgment. So I would say, a lot of people are in resistance, but a lot of people would love to be out of that because it takes emotional energy and it's unproductive. It's completely unproductive.
Yeah. It basically causes a lot more, a lot of problems in marriages are from finances. Isn't that like one of the top things?
Yep. It's right up there with infidelity.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Doug, for joining us again today. I think this was a good conversation. If you're listening and you'd like to reach out to Doug for more information, Doug, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my number is going on the screen, 206-264-4424. But the easiest way is just go to schedulewithdoug.com. It's a link to my calendar. It shows my website, my phone number, and my email address.
Now, how do you spell schedule? SCHEDULE with Doug.com. Schedule with Doug. We were talking about the URL names. earlier. So I thought that's kind of funny. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring the rest of our people on the stream here as we conclude this podcast. I want to thank Ephraim and Tucker, as always. Thanks for coming on. I think we learned some awesome new stuff about coffee. And, Seattle has been the United States mecca of coffee. It's so great, Ephraim, for you to bring that heritage back to the area. And I know the area appreciates that. So good luck to you, to your 3 stores, Renton. Let's see, what you sit down by Seattle U on the corner, and then University of Washington off University Ave. So go get some authentic OG coffee from Ephraim. And if you want to have that conversation, just reach out to Doug. I know he'll sit down. Maybe he'll go over to the coffee shop and have a conversation with you. So I just really appreciate the small businesses coming on. And listen, interest rates, who cares? Opportunity, it's there, and owning a home will change your life, and Tucker can get you ready. We can help you get out there and get the home that you've been looking for, and you don't have to fight over it, at least for the next 6 months. So get after it. Thanks for watching Seattle's Eastside Real Estate Team podcast. I'm Dan Edwards, managing broker with the Eastside Real Estate Team. We are ending the podcast now, the broadcast.